Welcome to TechWire, a conversation about politics, technology, and government in California. My name is Christina Gagnier, and today we're broadcasting live from the Cloud Forum in Sacramento, California. Joining me is Intel's Futurist Brian David Johnson. Thank you for joining me.
It's a pleasure, Christina. Thanks for having me.
So many of our viewers might not know what a futurist is. So can you maybe talk about what your position is and what it is that you do?
Yeah, so my job at Intel is really to look 10 to 15 years out and model how people will act and interact with technology. And that's based on social science and computer science and trend data. And the whole point for doing it is because at Intel it takes about 5 to 10 years to develop the chips. So it's of vital importance today for Intel to know what people will want to do a decade from now.
And how does that impact cloud technology? I mean, this conference is really about what's happening with the cloud now in government and what's going to happen next. So how does your unique perspective help the people that are here at the conference and other people that are watching that are trying to tackle these issues?
Right. Well, I was joking with some of the people who are here at the conference that I pretty much live my life 10 to 15 years in the future. And so for me, cloud computing and big data and all of that is happened. It's going to happen. We know that it's going to happen. We don't know exactly how, but we know it's going to happen. And for me, I then focus on, okay, so what will that feel like? What do we need to do? What are the different things that we do around security? What are the things that we do around personalization? And really kind of modeling that. So it's almost living in the present of cloud computing and kind of seeing what not only our company, but public sector companies can do to prepare for it.
So this is a little bit like Back to the Future then for you.
Well, that's sort of the joke that we have, is that I spend most of my time 10 to 15 years in the future and I commute back every now and again to talk to people.
So what can we expect in the future? Like, what are some things that you're going to highlight today? I know that you're speaking later at the Cloud Forum.
So I think the most exciting thing for me is that around the year 2020, the size of meaningful computational power, so the size of chips, approaches zero. So that means that's literally so small that's about 21 atoms across. And it means we can turn anything into a computer. So for decades in the technology sector, we were saying, can we make a laptop small enough to be a smartphone? Can we make an Ultrabook small enough to be, a smaller handheld tablet device? When you have the size of meaningful computational power approaching zero, that means we can turn anything into a computer. We could turn this table into a computer, we could turn my jacket, we can even turn my body into a computer. So what that means is we have to ask ourselves, what do we want to do? If we're surrounded by computational intelligence and that's all connected to the cloud, it's not can we do it, we know it's going to happen, so what do we want to do with it?
And now government's in the business of serving citizens, so how will that sort of view, that vantage point, that sort of personalization, if you will, of using computing technology, how will that affect government's interaction with citizens?
I think it'll make it a lot better. I mean, ultimately, and the reason why I came here to speak is I believe the bar we need to set for ourselves is we need to use all of this technology, use all of this incredible power, all of this data to make people's lives better. That we need to touch the lives of every human being on the planet, certainly every human being in California, and figure out how can we use this incredible power to make their lives better. And that's exactly what public sector companies can do. They're the ones who are meaningfully touch those people's lives and make them healthier, make them more sustainable, make them more efficient. Really, really important things, which is why I came here today, because I think that should be our goal.
And what can government do to prepare for the future? Like, you've been there, so
Right.
What can they do?
So looking back from the future, I think it's embracing uncertainty. So we can't know everything about the future. It's too complicated, it's always in motion, but we do know some things. We know that cloud computing is important. We know that big data is important. We know that we're going to have more computational power throughout our lives. We know that.
Yeah.
What exactly it's going to look like, we're not exactly sure. But also, we know there's a lot of things today, a lot of services that will happen 10 years from now don't exist today. So we know that there are jobs like app developer, there's jobs like elder care, did not exist 10 years ago that exist today. So you should embrace the fact that 10 years from now, there'll be services, there'll be ways that you can touch people's lives that we haven't even imagined yet. And that's an incredible opportunity. And by embracing that uncertainty, you open up that opportunity. It becomes so much more exciting of what you will be able to accomplish.
Well, thank you for joining me today. I think your position is fascinating, and you definitely have a unique perspective that those here in the present should listen to.
Well, thank you, Christina. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning into TechWire, a conversation about policy, technology, and California government.